Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
What are we doing, Nolan?
We are reviewing Justice League.
Oh, man. Boy, howdy, this was a movie.
Yeah, so I'm Nolan.
I'm Niall.
And we're going to do a spoiler-free review.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll flash up a spoiler warning.
Flash, get it?
You. And then we'll do a spoiler-filled discussion. So, Justice League.
I will say this about Justice League. It is the best superhero movie that makes two references to Pet Sematary.
This is true. I'll say I definitely thought it was a much better movie than Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
So that puts it in like the second best DC EU or whatever they're calling it.
Third best.
What's second?
Man of Steel.
You like Man of Steel better than this?
Yeah, I did.
I don't even really remember much about Man of Steel.
Yeah. Because Man of Steel was an okay movie. This was a bad movie. So...
But basically, there's a huge gap between Wonder Woman and all the rest of the movies.
Yeah. So Zack Snyder should just not be allowed to make movies anymore.
Seriously, I agree.
And, like, I get this is a superhero movie, and so there's going to be a lot of CG in a superhero movie. It's just the way it is.
But it shouldn't be blatantly CG.
There was a lot of bad CG in this movie. Just a lot of it. And
especially
removing the beard off Henry Cavill.
Yeah, well, because if you're unaware, Henry Cavill had gone on after principal photography was done.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Cavill, for his next role, is contractually obligated to grow a beard.
Yep.
So they needed to bring him back for some reshoots. They had to digitally remove the beard because he could not shave the beard.
Yep.
And it's very obvious in the scenes where they do it. And one of the reasons for that being is Henry Cavill, as Superman, he doesn't have a beard, but he naturally has some stubble.
Yeah,
you can see a little bit of gray, that 5 o'clock shadow grayness on his chin
at all times. But
when it's the CG beard removal, it's not there.
Baby smooth.
It's too smooth. It's not there, and it's very obviously it's CG remove. It's
not
a lot of scenes, but there's the few that it's in.
But
it's obvious.
There was some other key thing like CG. Like there was a scene. I don't know if you remember where Batman gets thrown into a police car.
Yeah.
Then it was just like, ugh.
That was bad. When the bad guy, like, when the stuff's, like, coming out of the ground and...
See, I could forgive that somewhat, because, like, that's, it's some weird alien thing. Maybe that's just what it looks like. But I can tell a fake police car when I see one.
When stuff bursts out of the ground and the rubble from the ground looks like that.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, there's a lot of not great CG in this. And it's weird, some of it didn't have to be CG.
Yeah.
It could have been done practically.
Yeah. I don't... Like, oh man, and this isn't a spoiler, because it's literally the opening scene in the movie, but the movie starts out with Batman fighting and apprehending some villain on a rooftop in Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a villain, he's just a dude, but he's in the middle of robbing something.
Yeah.
And, like, there's this part where he's like moving around the water tower and the guy's shooting at him, and just like the water tower.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's an inanimate object, man. It's not even moving.
Well, there's some bad green screen too.
Yeah,
like there's scene like you shouldn't be able to tell someone's on a green screen set, but some of this you can tell. Like the background doesn't look right, or the lighting on the person doesn't match up with the background.
Yeah, we're talking like lightsaber duel at the end of episode 3 levels here, of like bad green screen and rotoscoping.
Yeah, it's some of it's just unforgivable for a movie of this scale.
Yeah, like there's no
like I would forgive that if it were the Asylum. I'd be like, this is pretty good for the Asylum.
Yeah,
but for this, you know,
why don't you explain what the Asylum is? Because I don't think a lot of people know.
Really? So they're the ones who made like Sharknado and all those. Basically, almost every movie that appears on Sci-Fi Channel nowadays.
I mean, if you've been to is it Cinemark that's been running the Night at the Asylum thing?
The Asylum.
I've been to Cinemark, and I would guess Century Theaters. If there's any of the, I don't know if there's any of those left. I don't know if they all became Cinemark or what, but yeah, they've been advertising some Night at the Asylum thing. Like I don't know, every week's like a different movie from
they're
Asylum.
They're a low budget film studio, but. For what they do, pretty good work for what they've
been contracted to do some of the Sci-Fi Channel original movies, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So, but yeah, for a movie produced by Warner Brothers, it's supposed to be like their big ensemble. Hey, and we'll get more into why they failed at that. But it's this is the culmination. This is their Avengers. Like this is supposed to be their big deal, and.
It doesn't feel as big as the Avengers.
It really doesn't.
It felt actually kind of like a small thing. But one thing, being that it's the culmination, I think it could have benefited from some of the other characters having their own movie first.
Yeah. So the Avengers did it very well because there were how many movies were before the Avengers? So there was Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor. Captain America, Thor. Captain America 2, right?
That was after.
Was that after?
That was after. I think that was all of them before the Avengers.
So 5 movies establishing origin stories for 4 different heroes, which are the main 4 of the Avengers.
Still waiting on a Black Widow. I think a Black Widow movie could be pretty cool if they did it as
a spy thriller. That would be so cool.
Anyways, back to Justice League.
Yeah, we have to compare this to Avengers because that is literally the only thing that is like the same kind of deal. You know, so there's 5 movies setting up the origin and characteristics of 4 different characters, whereas Justice League followed Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman,
and Wonder Woman. That's 3 movies on 3 characters
out of the 5.
Right, and Batman doesn't really need one.
Yeah, I will give him that. Batman did not need another origin story. That's fine. I have no qualms with Batman not having an origin story.
We have 2 origin story movies out of those 3 movies.
Yes. So, like... Oh, God. We'll get more... We'll cover this more on the spoiler part, but there's this part where they cram some origin story in for Aquaman, and it's so bad.
And it's so rushed.
It feels weird. The pacing of the movie just gets completely interrupted by it. Just God, like you went to, I mean, not film, you don't have a film degree, but you went to school, learned a lot about filmmaking as part of your degree. I did not. I went to an engineering school, and I can look at this and go, this is just bad movie making.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, like you have like basically 2 people mainly credited for the script. There are 11 writers on it, right?
Or yeah, so there's 9. Let's see. No, yes.
Well, some of them might be characters by, right?
Yeah, so there's 11 writers in total. So, Jack Kirby is a writer. He's 4th.
Okay, then you get rid of the created by characters.
So it looks like 2 screenplay writers,
but then 2,
and then 2 story by.
One of them, so that Chris Terrio. Is story by and screenplay, and then Zack Snyder's story by, and then Joss Whedon is screenplay.
It looks like that Terrio guy. He's not done a lot. He's working on episode 9. That's worrisome. Star Wars, that is.
Yeah, but if if Zack Snyder was like the main story by guy, and then Terrio like helped him out, and then he brought in Joss Whedon to help like get the script screen worthy.
Oh, I see. So there's not actually. So there's 10 writers credited because that Chris Terrio is credited twice for both screenplay and story.
Right, but most of those credits just go to the creators of the characters and not for this actual film.
Right.
So there's really 3 writers for this film.
Yep.
Zack Snyder is one of them, and I have not been impressed by anything Zack Snyder's written so far.
Okay, I will give Chris Terrio one thing. Screenplay by on Argo.
That's probably why he was brought in, as Ben Affleck brought him in.
That was a great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen that movie. Argo was a fantastic movie. But anyway.
That's why I think Zack Snyder is the main driving force behind the plot of this movie.
Yeah, like, I like some of Joss Whedon's stuff. I don't think anyone who's actually seen Firefly can possibly dislike it. But I have the unpopular opinion that Joss Whedon has more bad writing than good writing.
I would agree with that.
His good writing is really good, but he has a lot of bad to mediocre writing in between his really good ones.
Yep. I would totally agree with that assessment.
Yeah, so, and the problem I always have is, like, as a result of my job, I get exposed to a lot of nerds, right?
Right.
And, man, they love them some Joss Whedon.
Joss is boss.
Shut up. They love them some Joss Whedon, but really what it is they like Firefly and Buffy. I don't even like Buffy. I thought that was a show at best. But they like Firefly and Buffy.
And the Avengers.
Yeah, and the Avengers. Although
that first one.
Considering how much control the studio has over the production of those movies, it's hard to say how much is really Joss Whedon. So there's some scenes that are like, wow, this is really Joss Whedon-y. Mm-hmm. But overall, it's kind of hard to say like how much control he has over the overall actual story of the movie when the studio controls it that much.
Right.
Also, Toy Story.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I think ultimately Zack Snyder is the problem here.
Right, and then
because it's not the cast.
No, I think the cast is pretty good. I thought the guy who played Cyborg, never seen him anything but Cyborg, apparently because he hasn't done anything on
he's
film.
He's done a lot of stage productions?
He's done a lot. I guess he's done stage stuff. He's listed under IMDb as a stage actor, and he has two film credits before this. One is a short film, and one is one episode of a TV series.
Yeah.
So he hasn't done much screen acting.
Yep. But
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean we're amongst the. We also have the unpopular opinion that the Batfleck is not the worst thing to happen to Batman.
No, I think he's pretty good as Batman.
He's really great as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. This might be unpopular too, but I've always liked Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
He just is like this dude at like
bro.
Like, this
he's
bro.
Such a bro.
He's such a bro.
He's
but
such a bro.
like where his acting isn't necessarily great. It's not bad. It's not necessarily great. He's got this personality that overshadows it.
Like I like the idea of Aquaman being this just like I don't even know how to describe it.
He's salty.
He's salty, but this like
from the sea.
I don't know, he just has this like cocky like attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Gal Gadot, I don't think she gave a better performance than Batman v Superman, but not as good as Wonder Woman.
Which is more why I'm even more evidence that convinces me that Zack Snyder's the problem. I feel like she's had bad directing.
Yeah. It's just like she's not bad. It's just every once in a while she's a little stiff.
Yeah.
And then the guy who played Flash, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller.
I've seen him in a few things here and there. He was in that Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse, which I thought was pretty good. It was surprisingly good. It wasn't like a great movie. It was a surprisingly good movie.
It was fun.
It was a fun movie, yeah.
It had a cast of like 5 people.
Right. He plays this neurotic sort of character, which is fine for a speedster like the Flash, who's moving faster than everyone around him, and like everybody's just so frustratingly slow.
Yeah.
Early on, he gave... Like, I didn't think he was doing that great a job early on in the movie, but he got better.
Yeah, I gotta say...
And I warmed up to him a little bit.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, when they first introduced him, I was like, wow, this guy's annoying. But I gotta say, Fox handled Quicksilver much better than WB handled the Flash as a character.
Well, like the slow-mo portions especially, where just like for Quicksilver, just those scenes were just so much fun to watch, and these are just kind of
Well, not just that, like when they like slowed down the Flash, so you could like, everything else is going in slow motion, and he's at regular speed.
Mm-hmm.
His running and his gait just seemed awkward.
Well, it's this weird CG that's not done well.
Yeah.
What I would like to know, because they don't give any origins for him, is where he got his suit, which is like super high tech.
It's fancy. It's like got all kinds of like.
Well, it's got these materials that like Bruce Wayne's like, that stuff used on the space shuttle.
Yeah. Which makes sense for what his powers are, but yeah, where did he?
No explanation of where that comes from.
Just full on hit the mic there. So, but yeah, so the cast is actually pretty decent. Overall.
Oh yeah, I wanted to look who the bad guy was, because I was like, damn, his voice is familiar.
Oh yeah. But just, oh man, the movie's longer than I wanted it to be, and it still felt rushed. The pacing is just all over the place, just changes throughout the movie. There's not like a... And a lot of that problem is just trying to cram in too much in the way of origin story into this movie. Like, when you finally get to your ensemble movie...
Mance Rayder. From Game of Thrones?
Oh,
the king north of the wall?
Yeah. I mean, that was years ago, but yeah, I remember now.
Well, I'm looking at his IMDb page. That's the only thing I know him from.
Okay. Cool.
He was also in John Carter as Tardos Moores.
It's been a long time since I saw that movie.
Yeah.
I saw it like 3 times in theater, but I don't remember much about it.
Aberforth Dumbledore. I guess he's been in a bunch of stuff I've seen, but they're all like small parts.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a lot of build up going into the Avengers, and it was a good, like, ramped you up. You look at the original Iron Man movie, and there's not a lot actually at stake. There's nothing world threatening. It's just him and Jeff Bridges having a spat over the direction of his company. And, it starts out, in the grand scope of things, it starts out pretty small.
Yeah, but giving those terrorists some powerful weapons would have been a bad thing.
Right. And, no, I mean, I'm not saying that, like...
But it's not like...
I'm not saying it wasn't a worthy thing or a worthy story to tell. I'm just saying, like, they didn't jump right into, like, world-ending problems.
Right.
And they ramped you up to it. There was a build-up to it, so that by the time you get to aliens invading New York... You're used to it. Like, you're not used to it, but you're, like, prepared for it. You're accepting of it.
Yeah.
The Justice League movies did not do that. Every one of them has had world-threatening stakes.
Yeah. One thing I'll say about it is it's not nearly so many plot holes as Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
This is actually, for the most part, follows a logical progression of things. There's nothing at any point I was like, wait, what? How did they reach that conclusion? Or why did this happen that way? I wasn't...
Yeah.
None of that was thrown at me like Batman v Superman was. So much of that movie was just like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But this is... Yeah. much more logical.
Yeah. So that being said,
and maybe that was Joss Whedon coming in and going, no, let's fix this.
It could be. So that being said about the overall story and the visual effects, this is a superhero movie, so we should talk about the fighting, the action scenes.
Yeah, that's a lot of that is where some of the bad CG comes in.
Yeah. The final fight I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I thought it felt suitably like, all right, this is a big important fight. Dudes are getting hit and thrown all over the place. Batman's got guns on his car. Not really a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler.
If you saw the previous movie, you know Batman has guns on his car.
Yeah, it. So,
one thing I did like about it is everyone had a distinct way of doing everything in the fight.
Yeah,
it's like the Flash is not much of a fighter, but he can get civilians to safety, or he can
run at someone and push them really fast.
Yeah, and so it really played up how everyone handles everything differently. Some of the action at times could be kind of hard to follow, but it wasn't too bad. I've definitely seen worse.
Yeah. And then, but before that, some of the fights were. That fight earlier on, before they get Aquaman on the team.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
That was not
in the tunnel.
Yeah, that was not great either. Yeah, just and that was an instance of them trying to. It felt like them trying to emulate the Quicksilver scene.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't as amusing. It wasn't as well done. What he actually accomplished during that whole bit was not nearly to the scope,
right,
of Quicksilver. I think he manipulated one thing during that whole part, right?
Yeah, I will say, this movie's a little bit more lighthearted than we've been getting from DC.
Yep.
There's just not that it was a light movie. It's a very dark movie, like we're used to from DC. But there's a little bit more humorous dialogue here and there.
Yeah, particularly involving Aquaman.
Yeah, but even Batman had some.
Yeah, Batman had a couple jokes in there.
They tried really hard with the Flash, and it came off as annoying more than funny most of the time.
Yeah, that could be just how they're writing the character as well.
Yeah, that's true.
The guy trying to be funny and just failing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give him that one okay. But yeah. So I gotta say, I think to me the best part of this whole movie was in fact Aquaman.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a fan of Jason. Yeah, and Alfred. But yeah, I gotta say, I've always been a fan of Jason Momoa anyway. So, but it wasn't. I said to you 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, Jeremy Irons is the only good part of this movie so far.
Yeah, before they really introduced much else.
Yeah, well, I don't even remember what was going on at the beginning of the movie. I just remember 10 minutes in, I was just like, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah,
I think the movie did get better as it went along overall, but there were some scenes in there that were really not good.
Right.
So I think it's probably all we can say without spoiling anything. So Thanksgiving next week, if you got family in town, you just gotta escape them, or you have to get the kids out of the house to go so that someone can go deal with Thanksgiving stuff or whatever. Go see something else.
Well, if you're a fan,
go see Thor Ragnarok if you haven't yet.
Yeah, go if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok and you haven't seen Justice League, go see Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. Or go see if you don't have kids involved, go see Murder on the Orient Express.
But if you're a fan of Justice League, you'll probably enjoy it. But it's just sort of an okay movie.
And if you do have kids, Coco comes out next week. It's probably a better movie too.
Yeah, at best, Justice League is okay. Yeah. There's some parts of it that are just kind of bad, but overall, it's
Yeah. I think the ending of this movie, there were parts of this movie that were better than Iron Man 3.
If that's your gold standard is Iron Man 3.
Your
litmus test.
That's my low. That's my low end.
Okay.
Like, because to me, that is the only bad Marvel movie. There's been some that are just okay. To me, Iron Man 3 is the only bad one. But yeah, so moving on. Here there be spoilers. From this point forward, we be spoiling.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I'm spoiling.
Yeah. So, Joe Morton should stay away from technology. we learned this from Terminator 2, and now his involvement almost brought about the end of the world again. Although it did bring a cyborg as well, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I mean,
yeah, he also, I mean, a lot of his inventions caused a lot of problems in Eureka as well.
That's true, but he did save Eureka more than he hurt it, so I guess it balances out.
Yeah, but anyway, so I actually would be, if you were to give any one of these characters their own movie, I would actually be most interested in a Cyborg movie.
Well, he is having one. So.
Good, because I know the least about Cyborg out of all of them.
Yeah, I don't read DC comics much or hardly at all, but I did watch a lot of DC cartoons. But the only exposure I've had to Cyborg is from the Teen Titans cartoon.
The two Teen Titans cartoons.
And decidedly different personality.
If someone in the comments could let me know if "Booyah" was like a catchphrase of his, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the cartoon, but that doesn't really mean anything, especially one that diverges so far from the source material.
Yeah,
as both of those Teen Titans shows did.
But he did say it at the very end of the movie with like an amount of emphasis on it that felt like that was the obligatory catchphrase.
And then judging by the reaction from some of the audience who sounded like they were expecting it, and so we're excited to hear it.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that that's the case. And then I would like a Flash origin movie to let me know where did he get this suit that is super high tech.
Yeah.
You know, that might be interesting. And then all they give you is like at some point Cyborg says, "So you were struck by lightning?" That's the abridged version. So there's more to it than that. Unless the DC TV shows are not part of this universe, though, are they?
I don't think so. I had heard that the CW shows were their own separate. Like the CW shows were originally intended to be, and they were spun off into their own thing.
Right. Because I think it was going to be too hard to like.
Well, those shows were getting really weird, apparently.
Yeah.
And like too divergent from the direction that WB wanted to take the DCU in. The DCMU. Is that what they call it? DCMU? DCC or DCMU?
I don't even know.
DC Universe Dull Movies. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that origin story is probably similar to how it happened in the comics, I would guess. But it can't just be that he was struck by lightning.
No, it's a comic. Like he was struck by lightning while he was doing this like experiment with some there's some combination of chemicals that were involved, and I was
gonna say because just getting struck,
it's not just struck by lightning.
Just getting struck by lightning has already been set as canon in the DC universe to give you electrical powers.
Right.
Like Static Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ability to ride on or like surf around on trash can lids.
Yeah, well that's through electromagnetic
something or other
power. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to look up who played Deathstroke.
Oh yeah, Deathstroke. Stay at the end of the credits if you're watching this and haven't seen it already. Should maybe mention that in the spoiler-free part. To stay to the end of the credits.
Yeah, well.
Oh well, because honestly, that's probably...
If you don't know to do that by now in movies, I can't help you.
We've been staying to the end of the credits for a long time before Marvel started doing that thing. Because someone has to sit there and make fun of everyone's names. Yeah, the scene at the end where Deathstroke walks up, that was probably one of the better scenes in the movie.
Joe Manganiello.
Alright.
Don't know who that is.
Cool.
Made him look a lot older as Deathstroke.
Yeah, they made his hair look
there's
like...
actually a Deathstroke movie coming.
They made his hair look like Cable.
So the next... Let's see, it looks like...
Please tell me Deathstroke is the next one.
So the next movie he's in is a movie called The Batman.
Okay.
And then following that, there's a Deathstroke movie.
Interesting. See, that's one of the things that I do like, or I find interesting about DC over Marvel is DC will show you a complete story arc from the perspective of a villain, and they do it fairly frequently.
Yeah.
Marvel doesn't really do that, right? Unless
they do for Loki quite a bit.
Oh yeah, but Loki's an anti-hero at times anyway. He's not always a villain.
Yeah.
And
this guy played Flash Thompson in those Spider-Man movies directed by Sam Raimi.
Unless you count Doc Ock running around in Peter Parker's body.
He's also in Rampage, which we saw the trailer for.
Yeah. That's a... How the hell do you pull a IP for a movie out of that video game?
There are worse video games to try to pull an IP out of, like...
Sure, but there's also better ones. There's ones that have actual story.
Yeah, but Rampage makes more sense than Minecraft, for instance. Anyway. Yeah, so, I mean, the way when they showed Deathstroke, it was like, wow, he looks exactly...
Oh, yeah.
Faithful to the comic book.
He looks like they just found the best damn Deathstroke cosplayer at Comic-Con and we're like, hey, we'll buy that costume off of you.
Right, and then he takes the mask off and it's just like in the comic, the grizzled face with the white beard and white hair and eye patch and Yep, he looks exactly like Deathstroke. Unfortunately, we got some Lex Luthor in there too.
Nolan is not a fan of Lex Luthor.
Well, as the character is fine, but what's his face playing him is not okay. He's like way at the very end of the...
Yeah, I can't.
Practically.
I can't. Jeez, I got hiccups now. I don't know why I can't remember his name. I know his name.
Yeah, I know his name too, but I don't remember. I mean, he's not... Like, in certain roles, he's perfectly fine, but not as Lex Luthor. I'm just not okay with his role, his performance as Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg, that's...
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg, that's right.
Yeah. Alright, so anyway... I don't know what... Oh yeah, we were going to talk about Aquaman thing crammed into the middle.
Oh yeah, so... It's like... Okay, so there's the boxes... There's the magic boxes that the evil dude, Steppenwolf, is looking for, so he can cram them all together and get
he's
unlimited power out of it or whatever.
Is that who he's supposed to be?
He's working for Darkseid, I thought, or something. I don't know, man. I don't understand.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, the bad guy wants these 4 Infinity Stone things, or three of them, 3 cubes that would grant him ultimate power and be able to turn the Earth into whatever primordial hell his planet is.
Yeah.
And he's looking to collect them all, and one was given to the Amazonians, one was given to the
Atlanteans,
and one was given to man whose hearts are weak, or whatever, and then one was given, and 3 were given to the dwarves, or whatever. But
yeah, so it's like the Amazons are like, all right, so we're gonna put this in this big like stone sarcophagus building, and surrounded by all these really buff warriors who have like bows and spears and stuff. And there's these chicks with these really big hammers who are themselves really big as well, to like smash the
Amazonian in size, in fact.
Yeah, like to smash these pillars, thus sealing themselves in there just in case. And the Atlanteans are like, we're gonna just shove it way down in the ocean and hide it, and all this. And the humans are like, we're gonna bury it in a forest.
Just random spot, just dig a hole and bury it.
So. It's not even like a particularly deep hole either. It's like
no, and at some point it was found, and Star Labs has it.
And that technology, World War I, they mentioned.
Yeah, and was that part of the Wonder Woman plot?
Oh,
I don't remember.
I only saw that movie once.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, but I don't remember that part of it.
Yeah.
Maybe go back and rewatch it. Anyway. So Star Labs has it, and that technology was used to make Cyborg. But he's collecting them, and so when Aquaman finds out about that, because he knows what the cube is, he rushes to Atlantis when which
he's estranged from?
Well, he's the rightful king of Atlantis.
Right.
But he's not been to Atlantis forever. I don't know. His mother, who was queen, abandoned him on the surface world or something. I don't know. But, so this is like all crammed into, like, so he shows up, the bad guy's there, they fight, but he gets away, and then, this other character,
Did they give a name to her? Did they mention her name?
Yeah, they did, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she's Aquaman's love interest on the comics.
Is it this Mira?
Yeah, Mira, yeah, that's her. Yeah. So in the comics, she's Aquaman's love interest and eventual wife. So, anyway. She's all chastising him because he's been away when he should be king. And he's like, my mother abandoned me. Why should I care? And she's like, well, now it's your responsibility to go after the thing. And he's like, okay, fine. And then, that's basically all we get out of this. But it's like trying to cram like some origin story into this one conversation, which is not very well written.
Really threw off the pacing of the movie, too.
It's not really well written. And I don't know why they even needed that. Why can't he just have already been king of Atlantis and he shows up and like, oh, my king. He got away, and he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it, and like,
since I'm king,
and just like gone off. That would have been better.
You know who's a better king of Atlantis?
Namor.
The
Submariner.
Namor's just a better character.
Here's the thing.
He's got a funny hero persona name, but he's a better written character.
The thing is, Marvel can never use him because Aquaman is better known.
Yeah.
And they don't want to look like they're trying to like steal or copy anything from DC. So it's just unusable. He's just unusable as a character from Marvel.
That's too bad, man, because he has.
Look, if you bring Namor in, you could make Fantastic Four far more interesting.
Yeah.
Since Namor has an affair with Susan Storm.
And then goes and brags about it.
Yeah. He's a dick that way. Anyway,
he's a better character. All around. Just better character.
Anyway, that whole thing with Aquaman could have been just better told. And
here's the thing. They're doing an Aquaman standalone movie. Mm-hmm. I would have been content if he would have shown up. They would have been like, my king, he got away. And he would be like, alright, I'm going to go after that now. Bye. And we got zero explanation about Atlantis itself, about his role as king, what his duties are. None of that.
Yeah.
And then they just cover it in the movie, in the main movie. I would have been fine with that.
That would have been better.
Yeah. It would have been better if he shows up, bad guy gets away with the thing. They're like, my king, what are you gonna do now? And he's like, I'm gonna go talk to Batman, and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's all it was, it would have been better.
Yeah. I want. Oh, there's this like sort of running gag where Bruce Wayne's trying to figure out if Aquaman can actually talk to fish, and he's very. It kind of like.
He doesn't say yes or no.
Yeah, he never says yes or no. He just sort of ignores the question.
Which to me means either he can, and he's embarrassed about that fact because that's like all people want to know or something, or he can't, but he wants people to think he can.
Or he finds the idea so stupid he doesn't think it's worthy of an
yeah,
answer.
or that's also possible.
You know what would have been funny though is because there's this one point where he starts like just spilling his gut, like spilling his heart out, and he doesn't realize that Wonder Woman has wrapped her lasso around him.
Or did she wrap it around him, or was he sitting on the lasso?
Oh, I think he was sitting. Yeah, he was sitting on it.
I think he was sitting on the lasso.
But I think I kind of got the idea that she planted it there for him to do that.
Yeah.
But it'd be funny if that's the point where he like reveals whether or not he can talk to fish.
Yeah.
That would have been funny. Remember that? You ever see that picture online of Aquaman like commanding Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Like he's like riding Cthulhu.
Hello, Aquaman.
So anyway, I don't know what else to really talk about this movie.
I mean, we could sit here and complain about this movie all night. There's a lot to complain about here.
Yeah, we could. Oh, one thing that was kind of weird is, so they were all concerned because they resurrect Superman. Like they resurrect him, and then Aquaman warns that when somebody dies, they lose something, and bringing him back, they don't know what damage it could have done to his mind or his soul, is the way, And he and Wonder Woman are both being the voice of reason here, saying, this is a dangerous prospect. But Batman and Cyborg are behind the idea, and the Flash is just kind of like, I'll just go along with the ride.
The Flash is like, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, like, gee, guys, it's so great that you think I'm worth your time.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, so when he comes back, though, he's just like, doesn't know who anyone is, and he's just like this fight or flight mentality, but he chooses fight, and he's just like just trying to like kill everyone around him and destroy everything. And then it like suddenly, like, I mean, they bring out Lois Lane and she talks him down, but it was sort of like a switch was flipped, and suddenly, yeah, all right, I'm good now, and then now I'm gonna be a hero. And
oh man, speaking of flips, switches flipped. Continue.
But which brings me into why, in my opinion, Superman's not a great character. And that is when he shows up at the end to help them fight. It's just like suddenly like, here I am, and he just owns everything, and like it's like the others don't even need to be there.
And that's one of the chief complaints people have about Superman as a character.
Right, and it's like
his fights are boring, his villains are boring, because it's like, oh, will Superman make it? Yes, Superman will make it.
Right, and it's just like the only other person who really needed to be there was Cyborg, because he was doing his thing to separate the cubes.
Yeah, and
then Superman could have just handled the rest,
basically.
And even like there's like the Flash, who isn't very good in a fight, though he's helping civilians get out, and it's like Superman's like standing there and goes, huh? And he like hears, oh, there's civilians to the east, and Batman's like, don't worry, the Flash is handling it. He's like, he's not fast enough. And so the Flash is getting these people out, and then like Superman comes along and he's like, yeah, I got the rest of them. And, like, so where the Flash is like just pushing a truckload of people, Superman just carries this whole apartment block.
Which is apparently everyone, because there's a lot of people that they showed on foot when that family was escaping on that truck.
Yeah.
Where are they?
And the Flash is like,
always.
Oh well, I guess he's Superman, so he's better than me.
Like the Flash saves a truck, Superman saves a building,
and they go right back into the fight.
They go right back into the fight. So what about the rest of those civilians that were not in that truck or that building?
Right, and then, but that being said, it's just like as soon as Superman shows up, the fight's over. Basically, it's just a matter of time, and no one else really needed to be there, like I said, except for Cyborg, because he needs to do his thing, and the rest are kind of like, become, observers to this fight.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, here I am, I'm Superman. He just starts punching everyone and laser eye beams and all this stuff, and I'm like, Superman's boring.
So, what I was talking about, that switch being flipped?
Is
when Commissioner Gordon flips that goes to turn on the bat signal, and it's like a giant Frankenstein-esque knife switch, which there's literally no reason for it to be that. That's like, those things are hard to ground, they're not safe, there's no reason for it.
It's not like a spotlight needs the switch for any reason. You could literally hook up any switch that will go from open circuit to closed circuit
and be able to handle the current.
It doesn't need to be a switch that big.
And like sparks are
sparks fly when you connect it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Overall, knife switches are pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me a good knife switch. They have their cinematic use. That was an inappropriate use, though.
Well, it was an appropriate use for cinematic purposes.
Yeah.
But in real life, you're like, hey, Commish, why don't I get an electrician out here and put like a real switch in there for you?
Yeah. Like, Commish, I appreciate that you went and got what you could when that Radio Shack went out of business.
Really, what it probably would have been, would there be a breaker box?
Yeah.
And he just flipped the breaker.
Yeah, probably. And he would just, like, close the box back up.
Yeah.
Latch it. It's got one of those little, like, plastic latches you have to, like, lift and pull to open up. There was one thing that during the fight when Superman gets resurrected, he should have snapped his own neck, right?
Oh, when he turns his head to follow the movement of the Flash?
Yeah, so the Flash is trying to run around him out.
They've established that the Flash moves as faster than the human eye can see.
Yes.
That's been established in the movies because people think he can teleport at first.
Right. And so he's trying to like run around to outflank him or something. And like you see at first just his eyes follow the Flash's movement. It's really creepy looking.
And the Flash is like,
Yeah, the Flash is like unsettled by it. And then his head starts tracking him. And I was like, the momentum would just snap his neck.
Also, Superman really messes up Wonder Woman. I guess she just shrugs that sort of thing off. Batman gets thrown bodily into a police car and just crumples that police car. Some bad CGI. And grabbed and lifted by the neck, or by the face.
By the face.
He's lifted by the face by Superman. And, there's like, I mean, you see this like bruising on Batman's back later when he takes his shirt off, but it's not as extensive as it probably should have been.
Yeah. I mean, Superman's no Bane. He's not gonna like break Batman's back, but
right. Well, not unless he like bends him over his knee and just. But
just like bends him like Bender bends rods.
Yes.
Anyway,
there was this like.
What?
I was just thinking of the joke in there where Lois Lane is talking to Martha Kent, and Martha's saying how like Clark said, or just talking about like how like Clark had always praised Lois for how tenacious a reporter she was, and Martha's like, yeah, Clark always said you were the thirstiest woman he ever met or something, and like Lois gets this look on her face like, it's like, oh no, hungriest, he meant hungriest. Right, okay, I was like, and we're both sitting there like chuckling because yeah,
but yeah,
she wants that super D.
So anyway, that's probably all we really have to say about the movie.
Yeah, that fight though that whole fight in general had some bad CGI, and then
yeah, that was some pretty bad CGI. But anyway, so that's Justice League. I cannot recommend it with a straight face. If you're like us and you just want to go to movies all the time, like every weekend you want to see a movie, I guess.
Or if you're a fan of Justice League or the DC Comics, I guess.
Go there. If you're a fan of that, you need better opinions. So some point in this next week, I'm probably also going to go see Roma J. Israel Esquire. That's that Denzel Washington movie. I'm hoping that'll be a better movie than this was. And then next week we're gonna go see Coco, I'm sure. It's that new Disney Pixar movie that's gonna be better received and make more money than Book of Life, which makes me sad on the inside.
Yeah, because Book of Life was a great movie. I'll probably see Darkest Hour at some point too.
The most upsetting thing about Book of Life is it failed to win the Oscar for Best Animated Picture because that went to Frozen that year.
Yeah.
Also, The Wind Rises also lost to Frozen. Both of those are rather... I would have been fine with either of them. They were both very gorgeous movies and very well written. But, of course, Frozen won. Anyway, right. So that's what we have coming up as far as future Newfangled Motion Picture shows. And then we get into December after that, which we're going to be first in line to see Disaster Artist, man.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And then...
Not hit her. I did not.
I did not hit her. Yeah, and then there's a gap after that because no one wants to be the week before or after Star Wars, so it is what it is. So that's what we got coming up. Is this going up? This isn't going up tonight, right? Is this going up tomorrow?
Probably.
All right. We're not streaming this week. On Sunday, anyway. Maybe we'll stream like Tuesday night or something instead.
Okay.
Because I unfortunately have to work Sunday night. So until our fan base grows to such a size that I can quit my oppressive day job,
working for the man,
then I can work for YouTube, which is totally not
the man
or anything. Working for Google. Anyway, so that's what we got coming up. Check out our Twitch streams, I guess, over on twitch.tv/everything_is_bad, I think is the URL. I don't know. You can do a search for Everything Is Bad on Twitch and you should be able to find it anyway. But that's where we're streaming. We're not streaming this Sunday though. And check out next week or later this week when we have another Newfangled Motion Picture show for you. Yep. So until then, thanks for listening, lending us your ear holes.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.